another episode, or whatever you want to call it, of Generation X Retro. If you're wondering, this was my favorite toy as a child. If you did not have one, you needed one. When you're a kid and you're sneaking into the room and playing with the volume off, because as an 80s designer, they were smart enough to put a mute on the unit. I used to play this thing for freaking hours. Which brings me to my normal disclaimer. This is Gen X Retro. This is not your kids' retro show, even though I'm currently playing Space Invaders. I will swear, cuss, do inappropriate things, but at the end of it, you usually will get some useful information or hopefully entertainment. Alright, we're done with that. Alright, amusement set aside. What I'm going to do today is build one of these EPYX fastload cartridge. This just happens to be my socketed test unit. What you will need: one of these boards. If you don't have one, you don't want to order a bunch of them, pay shipping, wait a long time just for a couple boards, let me know. I got a stack of them. You will need SUD, EPROM, burnt wood, the fastload. This one happens to be a W27C 512 wind bond. Hundreds of these that I've used. You get about a 10% failure rate and 100% failure rate on getting the fucking camera to focus. You're also going to need one logic chip, 74LS07. I'll put this in the notes for you since no focus. You're going to need a 0.47 microfarad capacitor, electrolytic. Voltage doesn't matter since it's only going to be 5 volts. This is going to be 50 volts, but it's small enough to fit where it needs to go. And one resistor, 2.7K. And if somebody's fast enough to catch that, they'll realize that's not what I'm using, but it's close enough. So, we will take the EPROM. Align the pins. These are pre-programmed by me. Jab that into here like it owes you money. Okay. Take one resistor. Throw that in there. Then the legs are. Take one logic chip. Make sure you follow the little diagram on the board. Throw that in there. I will bend the pin over on each end so that it doesn't fall out when I flip it over. Just a helpful tip, you don't need to do that. And one capacitor. Notice this is the last thing to put on. Easiest this way. The long lead is the positive, or the negative is marked. So long lead to the positive. Throw that in there and bend it over like so. Your board should look like this. That is so all of this shit fits into your cartridge shell afterwards and doesn't drag on anything on the way out. Flip this over, bend the leads over so that they stay, and grab your soldering iron. Clean your tip. Again, always clean your tip by one of these. Cannot emphasize that enough. I've soldered literally thousands, if not 10,000 connections with this tip, and this tip still looks new almost. Set this down. You can watch the top of my head for a minute. Solder the corners with all the chips. That way they don't fall out. Then solder your capacitor. Solder your resistor. Alright. So now, I know you can't see this, I'll show you after. You guys can buy me a camera if you really feel like it. Because nothing seems to work really well. And yes, I am soldering this directly to the board. I've done enough solderings, I'm not overheating the chip. Get in and off the pin. Stagger where you're soldering to one side, partly then the other. Even though these chips are incredibly resilient to abuse. You can even put these chips in backwards, fire them up, wonder why they don't work, heat the shit out of them, desolder the chip, resolder the chip, and it'll still work. Not that I am speaking from any particular experience. Now I'm soldering a logic chip. And we take a good close look to make sure nothing's bridged, nothing's jumped, everything's clean. Find the cutters. Trim the leads off the resistors. Trim the leads off the capacitor. So now we have something that looks like this. Everything's nice and flush. Should fit in the cartridge. Your capacitor's tucked in. Everything on the back looks good. So now we go over to here. Bring up our computer. Using the Commodore 128 for the test. You can't see this, but we'll slip it in. And fire it up. And you have a fastload cartridge. Of course, I've got no drive up to it, so that's fine. Automatic remits the 128 going to 64 mode. And it works. Turn that off. And get rid of the picture again because we don't need that. Again, I've made one previously. Blank board. Available for just a couple bucks from me if you want one. If you want to make your own fast load, I can pre-program the EPROM, give you all the parts you need. If you like soldering or you want a quick little project, and I also have cases in whatever colors, and if I get time, I will make some like the 1541 cartridge you see here. Let's say fastload. Other than that, there's your fastload cartridge. And on that note, I'm going back to playing Space Invaders. And you can either subscribe, like, whatever you feel like doing. If you like what the videos I'm making or putting together, want me to keep doing them, say so in the comments. Don't just watch them and think that they get noticed. Like them, post them, link them, do what you got to do. But enjoy.